Okay, hi everybody. So join me this week on our adventure to Lathkill River and Lathkill Dales. I didn't film much talking this time because I had a really bad migraine. I had taken medication before we set off and hoped I'd be okay, but unfortunately it got worse throughout. But with that said, we did complete the walk. So we got up not too early. We kind of set off about midday to get there for just after midday. So Lathkill is in the Derbyshire Dales. It is therefore only about a 50-minute drive from our house. It's not too far, and the actual drive is very pleasant. Where we arrived for Lathkill was a very small car park. We were quite lucky that we managed to park in it, but there is only about spaces for 5, maybe 6 cars if you're lucky. It is a national nature reserve, as you can see, and there are plenty of different routes ranging all the way from really easy walking down by the river all the way up to a little bit more difficult like what we did. We actually went along the top of the dale. So first you walk through just this stunning little open field. So from the very beginning I was already quite excited. This was a very rocky trail, so I love to climb rocks, and I'm not very good at it. I'm not agile whatsoever, but I do like getting up there, and that's what I did. So right from off the bat, I got to the top of the little rock side. I could see like a sort of scoot up, as I would say, and I couldn't help but go up, and I'm sure Will is very much fed up of me doing it by this point, but he seemed happy enough, so husband points to him. You carry on along this grassy path. It's quite flat, it is a bit muddy, until you turn left to go up this rocky steep slope. Now it is a little bit steep, but we did see people running down it, so not too treacherous, and it wasn't too muddy, which was a plus because a lot of it was quite muddy. Personally, I would go this route. I would do the higher path on the way there and the lower path on the way back, as it is a little bit unsteady in places and a little bit more difficult. However, I believe the view is a million times worth it, and this is by no means as difficult as our last hike. So it was very quiet and not too difficult. The path is definitely muddy in places, and you do have to stick to it as there are mine shafts, so do be careful and don't go too off piste. I didn't actually realise there were mine shafts till just after this. There is a sign on the gate just on the way in, but unfortunately I'm oblivious to a lot of things around me. So I did go climbing in this first set of rocks, and luckily I was fine. But don't do that, because there are mine shafts, and shortly after this I did see a sign, so there was no worries after that. This was kind of the first view we hit, and I was already blown away. I was thinking my head might hurt, but this is beautiful. So you get to the top, you go along for a little bit, and then you come back down. We chose here to have a picnic because when I've got a migraine, it can help to curb the sickness to have a little something to eat. So we just took some sandwiches and a bit of chocolate and some drinks. So we sat and relaxed for a moment until a drone came overhead, and then that was not so peaceful. Alas, we carried on up to our second viewpoint. Now you can walk across here. You can see a lot of people have walked across here, and the view is so worth it. Have a look at this. This does not do it justice. You have full view of the entire valley. It was beautiful, and any video I took was never going to take any sort of justice to it. There were too many viewpoints to count along this walk. I didn't even film it all, but they were just so beautiful. Along the high path, you could not only see across to the other side of the valley, but down into the valley, and we were enjoying kind of people watching on the walks on the other side of the valley and down in the valley as well. Will chooses our walks. I don't necessarily know what's on them because I just find it more fun that way, and Will likes to pick them. And I didn't know there was going to be a stream, so I was very excited. I didn't know anything about Lathkill before we got there. So what I will say is this is a very easy one. As you can see, it's really flat. You just have the incline up and then the incline down at the other end. But other than that, it's pretty easy going. The paths are extremely narrow, and like I said, there are mine shafts, so I was quite nervous to step anywhere even remotely off them. So I very much stuck to this path, but it is fairly easy. I will say this. There was one section up to the right of here was our decline back into the valley. This was really tricky because it had gotten very muddy. I did end up on my arse multiple times, I'm not going to lie to you. So do be careful coming back down. Yeah, there was no other way to do it than to slide on our bums, unfortunately, but you are greeted by this lovely path. And then the main event, this beautiful waterfall. Now, this is the Lathkill River, and it has been described as the purest and most transparent stream that has ever been seen. And honestly, I was in awe of how beautiful and clear it was. There is no denying it. Look how crystal clear that water is. You cannot go in this water. It is to protect the wildlife and to protect the stream, and I completely agree with that. Look how beautiful it was. Me and Will were just fantasizing the entire time about swimming in it. Even though it was freezing, we would have got in there happily. It really is beautiful, and people have been talking about it since the 1600s. I have found passages from 1653 discussing how beautiful it is. So definitely must see in the Derbyshire Dales. Do get there, even if you just walk along the river. By this point, my migraine really was getting the better of me, and as you can see, I wasn't walking in any particular cohesive way. We stopped by a footbridge for a picnic, just to finish the half-hour sandwich, to have some water, and for me to try and get my brain back in some form of working order. This gave me a little boost, and unfortunately, as Will was filming most of this because of my brain, I was caught out. Oh yeah. I was still very much enjoying the walk, and I think we're going to have to go back when I can actually remember it properly and my brain is clear. But just look at the views. There's no denying that this is one of the most beautiful places, and honestly, I think this is one of my favourite hikes I've ever been on. Now, the beauty of this part of the river is that it is not always there. So this is one of those walks that you really need to be doing in the rain. It comes out from underneath the valley on the right hand side, and is a cave that dries up in the summertime. However, we've had a lot of rain, as we all know, and it was definitely flowing when we were there. It's one of the reasons Will picked it. By this point, my head really was in a bad state, and we needed to get back to the car, but I would say this would be a beautiful area just to sit and look at the water coming out from underneath the mountain. I keep saying mountain, and come at me for it, but you know what I mean. And I would be intrigued to see in the summer what it was like dried up, because it is really very beautiful, and I can't describe it to you. You really need to get yourself there. So after you leave the mouth of the cave, you've still got maybe about half an hour to 40 minutes left of the walk, and this is very easy going. Not if you have a migraine, but it is mostly just little paths, and there's a little bit of climbing over rocks later on, but everything on this walk has its place, and there seems to be just a little bit of everything that you'd need. This really is my favourite hike I've ever done, and that is to say something. Me and Will have been on a lot of walks in the UK, and even before I met Will, I used to go on walks. I've climbed Kinder Scout, Snowdon, all sorts of stuff, and this is my favourite that I have been to so far. I cannot tell you the beauty of going from the top of the valley down into the valley to see the water, to see the mossy rocks. I thought it was very whimsical. I felt very happy the whole time, even though I was in searing pain, and I wish I didn't have to rush. We definitely will be going back. There's further walks. We did a middle path rather than the very high path at one point. There's lots of little sort of nooks to sit in. Where we took our picnic over the footbridge, there's more footpaths on the other side of the valley. Honestly, you can definitely take children here. It is definitely more accessible than some of the other walks we've been on. We saw plenty of dogs and children and people of all sizes and shapes, and we even saw some runners, and I respect that a lot. So you end up back in your little field that we were in earlier, and it's straight back to the car park, and the car park have toilets. So by this point, if you need the loo, you're absolutely fine. They just ask for a donation. So that was our visit to Lathkill. I'm hoping to do another one when I'm better in the brain, let's say. Thank you, Mardy people. We will see you soon. Lots of love. Goodbye.